everyone! Hello everyone! For the fourth time in 2 months, the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, also known as MTA by the real New Yorkers, cancelled my MetroCard again. And of course, conveniently, last weekend the J-Line wasn't running into Manhattan. And from this profound distress, inexplicable rejection, and exhaustion of battling for what I paid for, I guess I just grew tired of using the subway just depending on one means of transportation. So I decided to build my own electric skateboard, and I will show you today how I did it. So winter is the perfect time to start building something because it is cold outside, it gets dark by 5 p.m, and if you run out of Netflix shows to watch, you always have the option to start preparing your summer. That's what we're gonna do today. I already said today. So yes, I know summer is still pretty far away, but when it comes, you'll be outside enjoying the sun and not in the little subway tunnel with a lot of other people, mostly tourists, that takes a lot of space. And again, it's not their fault. People take space. Don't judge them. So why would you want to make your own electric skateboard? What are the reasons that would push you into building your own instead of just buying one? Number one is the price. The parts of the build I will show you today cost around $600 for performances a little over the fastest commercial boosted board on the market. However, there are several electric skateboards that came to the market after I started building mine. So if you don't want to build your own and you want similar performances to mine, just check the links in the description and you'll find your happiness. Number two, as I just mentioned it, is the performances. The board that I built has a better range and a higher top speed than the ones you find on the market. Not all of them, just most of them. 3. And this is probably the biggest part for me, it's longevity. If you build it yourself, you know the components inside. That means that you can easily replace or whatever is gonna break. So if the battery starts failing, just order a new one. If you want to extend your range, get a bigger battery. If you want a smaller remote than this one that was probably designed in the 90s, just get the 2018 version. My point is that you are not locked down to a specific brand, meaning that you are likely to pay less money to repair your board, and also you have options to improve it in the future. 4. It is a fun project to do. You have the satisfaction of building something yourself and making it from your own hands. Anyways, enough rambling, let me show you my sloppy design. The board. The board itself is pretty much a standard longboard, so you can pick whichever you prefer. I suggested a couple of links below off of Amazon, but there are a couple of things that you need to pay attention to when choosing one. The first point is, don't take a low profile board, otherwise you will not be able to attach the motor under the board and it will just be hanging at the back in a weird way. Number 2 is choosing trucks which you will be able to attach the motor mount to it. I choose caliper trucks because I found a motor mount that was working with it, so just make sure that your trucks and your motor mounts are compatible. The electronics. The electronics are pretty simple, they're mostly RC parts that you can get off of Amazon. And for this project you will need batteries connected to the electronic speed controller, aka the ESC, that will be connected to the actual motor. You will also need a remote controller with its receiver that will be attached to the ESC. I built my board with lithium polymer batteries because they're pretty popular in the RC world and they work with the components that I have. If you want a pretty powerful board, I would recommend you to go with a 12 cells lithium polymer battery. Unfortunately, 12 cells batteries are either pretty expensive or hard to find. The way you can work around this problem is by taking 2 separate 6 cells batteries and putting them together using an adapter. The electric speed controller, or ESC, the speed controller that I actually chose for this project, is designed for electric skateboard and is called a VASC. I tried to make it work with a plain speed controller, but it just didn't work. Maybe I got the wiring wrong, maybe it was faulty, I don't know. But since this is the most expensive part of your project, I would recommend you to get it right the first time. Link in the description. The motor itself. Just like the other parts of the project, I have over-engineered this one. It is a 12S Outrunner brushless motor, and it gives me plenty of torque to go uphill, to go faster than cyclists, and gives me crazy accelerations. The motor mount. There's not much to say about the motor mount, just find something that works with your trucks like I said before, and that's it. The radio! Aww. I just chose this one because it was a cheap RC car remote controller. It's pretty much a standard in the industry, so yeah, just get a cheap one, you'll be fine. Tupperwares! And this is probably my favorite part of the design. In order to put all the electronics, the batteries, the ESC, the radio, I used Tupperwares. So why would I use such a ratchet piece of plastic to put under my skateboard? Well, because it's easy. You just take the lid, you screw it under the board, you put all the electronics in the container, you flip it over, you clamp it, and that's it. It's done. You can replace it with whatever you want. It's easy to open, it's easy to adjust, because it's plastic. You can just cut it to the way you prefer. I choose a 2 Tupperware design, one for the batteries, one for the electronics, but it's really up to you. You can just take a big one and put everything in there. A couple of warnings to help you choose the best components. First and foremost, read the specs of everything you're gonna buy. The most important parts are the interfaces between your components. For example, my motor had bullet connectors and so did my speed controller. However, one of them was 2.5 millimeters and the other was 3.5 millimeters. So I had to buy an adapter to make them work together. The power connector of the speed controller is an XT90, but the power controller of the battery is an XT60, so I also had to get an adapter. My point here is make sure that everything that you buy works together. Read all the specs of all the components to make sure that they can connect to each other, that the battery connector is the same as the speed controller, that the motor mount is going to work with your trucks. Just make sure that all the parts are going to work with each other. That's the biggest and the most difficult part in this project. So I believe now it's time to build it, right? So here it is. This is how I built my electric skateboard. I'm probably not going to test it today because the weather's bad, but I'll make another video to show how it goes, what are the performances, what is the range, and all that kind of stuff. If you have questions or comments, just drop them below. If you want to see part 2 of this video, subscribe to my channel. And that's about it. Thanks for watching.
Skateboard.